Very good morning, everyone. Charles here. FRGNT Daily Chart Analysis. Thursday, the 13th of November, 2025. Just tapped past 8 a.m. Milano time, 7 UK. And we've just had a couple of bits of economic news come out for the pound. Let's see how it's faring at the moment. So nothing too drastic. And with that said, I think we got a gap of roughly 2 hours before... there's not much going on, to be honest. A little bit of medium folder news before 6.5 hours to go. New York will start opening and causing some carnage. So let's get on and mark this. So I figured let's do it a little bit differently. This chart has not been updated. So let me get on and do it now as quick as I possibly can and talk my way through it. So much of the stuff, or much of my illustrations, will be unchanged, providing that the chart hasn't moved too drastically from yesterday to today. A couple of amendments of the EMAs, but of course we'll have to update those, move those along, etc. Just double check any order blocks that have already been tapped and mitigated. We'll just make them a little bit smaller and ensure that we're not going to be sucked into taking potential trades again from those areas without seeking a multitude of other confluences before looking to take those positions. So we've got a previous daily low there. Let's get rid of that arrow for a bit of confusion. Let's get rid of that now. Let's mark that along. What else we got? We've got EG crossing up, grand. Codes, we're fully aware of where we are in the markets at all times. Daily wick imbalance. Let's see if that one superimposed across those lower time frames, as I say, makes sense for anything at all. Let's clone this and we'll change that just quickly. Call that. If I can get the GU crossing down, so that's more than likely meaning that my potential short from the immediate order block above, in fact, disregard what I'm saying. Asia hasn't finished printed just yet, so we'll see how that looks like later on. Previous weekly highs, let's make these just on current intervals only. The weekly's looking a bit too crowded. For current intervals and below. Current intervals and below. How's that weekly looking? Previous weekly high, previous weekly low. Current weekly candles printing. Let's put that current interval and below. Perfect. So the weekly's looking clean for now. Let's move that over. Wick imbalance there. So my higher probable setup is looking like short from that daily 50 EMA. I can see there's a daily order block in and around that area as well that has previously been mitigated. Nevertheless, got that daily 50 EMA hovering right there in and around that area of that daily wick imbalance. Previous daily highs. It's looking like a nice play if EU can pop up into that area. But let's see if we can simplify, create a smaller trading range and see what we can get as a professional intraday trader. Let's have a look what we got. So price is currently trending nicely above that 4-hour 50 EMA. So does that mean I am not taking long positions? What else do we have? We've got a 4-hour order block there that's been mitigated. I'm not going to want to take a position from this area. Potential rejection in and around those previous weekly highs, previous daily highs, and that daily wick imbalance. So I'm not going to highlight that. We'll keep this order block here because what's the difference between this order block and then marking this order block? Only the fact that price has wicked into it. Let's have a look. So order block created, wick 1, wick 2, order block created, wick 1, and yeah, so for the sake of price tap, in fact, they've both been tapped twice. So I'll keep the lower one because if you can see, that's going to align nice with the previous daily low. We've got the support of the daily wick imbalance as well. So we want to be longing from the lows and, of course, selling from the highs. So if I'm going to want to long from the lows, here is going to be my better area. No point getting sucked into this trade when it's more likely there's an area of imbalance down here on a lower time frame. So let's have a look to see what we got. So that's a 4-hour time frame. Yeah, so the shorts. Let's have a look. What's price doing? Well, price is incredibly bullish at this time on the daily. Also, basic structure, as I always draw on to illustrate that. So price was, of course, making lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. Let's see if we can get that a bit better. Let's just get rid of that. Cool. Let's try that again. So price, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, potential lower high. However, it then broke this area here, made a potential higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. So if we are going to be looking to take a position, would the long position make sense? Absolutely, yes, it will. So we'll be looking to trade this after that higher high, that higher low position up into this area of the previous daily highs, daily wick imbalance, and also that daily 50 EMA, which then aligns with a 4-hour order block before then taking a short position, then managing by that 4-hour 50 EMA, because if I get rid of all this illustration, what you can see is price is absolutely respecting it perfectly. And we are trading with the facts, and although our expectations do not mean anything, and we would love to expect a short position like so, we must trade the facts. Price rejecting week 4-hour 50 EMA, we're going to have to look to manage our position, if not take price, if not take our money once it gets there. What can we see on that 1-hour time frame, rather, if I get my words out to give us a bit more confidence in terms of looking for a long position? Let's get rid of this old school type of alert. Where are we? Okay, so no imbalance here on the 1 hour. So that was it tapped? Yes, it was. Price moved off. Nothing. Only here, but I just feel like that's a little bit too high. Let's see what we got on the 15-minute time frame. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Brilliant. So let's move that across. Brilliant. So I hope you can understand now why, for example, I'm not going to use this order block there on the 4-hour. I'm then not going to refine that 4-hour time frame order block and refine it there with a 1-hour order block, because then once we start doing that, we will inevitably find a refined order block there as well on the 15, which, okay, I understand it's not the end of the world, but if you were to say, right, you're trading £500,000, you got one shot today at trading Euro US dollar, you don't have to trade, or you can take a trade, but you can't take both. What are you doing? Are you taking this one, knowing that your stop loss is not going to be covering the lows? I mean, let's have a look. No, that's way too big. So maximum of 10 pips, 10 to 15 on Euro US dollar. So, okay, that wouldn't be the end of the world, I have to admit. Trading up until, let's say, previous daily highs. It's just not good enough. You could do so much better if you just exercise. Okay, I'm happy for price to leave me here, although I will revisit this because we'll come back to that. There's nothing wrong with this, but can you understand how your range then increases dramatically? Previous weekly highs, previous daily highs, there's your 3% on your trade. However, if you were to do the same above, knowing that there is risk to every position. You can't protect yourself against everything. We have that daily wick imbalance that we can imagine, or we could potentially forecast that price could well trade into. So we're not protecting ourselves as well as we could. However, by a little bit of discipline and a little bit of patience and acceptance that we can't take every trade, even if it's that close, with a little bit of discipline, we can increase our return on investment dramatically. However, with that said, let's take a look in terms of intra 15-minute price action, just to gauge what the reality really is. So, of course, price came up, came back down. In terms of structure points, let's just zoom out, get a nice picture of what's going on. High from that area. So, of course, we're looking for that higher low. Could this be an area of which price then is looking to give us that confluence, come back in there? The reason why I say that is because if you look at the facts, area in the market, price, structure point, broke above, pull back into imbalance, liquidity comes in. However, what would make more sense on a higher time frame? Higher high, higher low, higher high. So it's your judgment. Are you wanting to trade alongside those higher time frames, adding that confluence, or are you simply looking for that intraday perspective? For me personally, I'm waiting for this today. So let's get rid of this, although it makes perfect sense. We'll keep this on. We'll pop an alert just there. And we'll just see how price reacts in and around that area. Let's say, for example, price comes in post-London, gives us an almighty break of structure there, comes back down. Okay, understood. We've then tapped into our area of shorts. However, this now would be the area of interest that you'd be looking to take advantage of, because that is the most recent high that's broke previous highs. So, let's stay dynamic. Let's stay fluid with the markets. Not every setup is to perfection, so we can take a look to see how that fares once our alerts then go off. In terms of short positions already drawn out there at the top, daily 50 MA, as I said, that aligns nicely within that 4-hour order block. Daily 50 MA providing that confluence. We are then trading in and around those areas of a daily order block as well. Let's see if that daily order block can be refined any more in terms of 4-hour. No, it cannot. So this has already been mitigated. So this is the lowest 4-hour order block within in and around that area. So this order block will stand for me. It's already been refined in terms of 1-hour order block, just to the left, top left chart here. Let's have a look to see. Perfect. It's available, yet to be mitigated as well. So again, I'm not going to start going down the time frame to search for a 15-minute order block in and around that area. What I'm going to wait to happen is allow price action to print it for me. Allow price action to give me those breaks of structure, provide me with a 15-minute order block, continuous breaks of structure. Then I'll be looking for a lower time frame order block in and around those areas to then look for a position from. So that will be the short position I'm looking from. Long position that I'm looking to take on EU, providing it aligns and price comes down to my lower time frame order block. And then if the news, which I am expecting to turn the markets upside down in New York, then we are more than ready for these areas as well. Crossing down, please, to be tapped into. Refined 15-minute order block, daily order block, 1-hour order block as well. And let's just double check this is the area. Perfect. It is indeed. So we've got that 4-hour order block, previous weekly lows, and then we'll be supported by the fact we are looking for continued rejection from that weekly 50 EMA. So it's not looking tremendously bad considering there's a lot of news available. As I said, looking for a long position in and around these areas. Let's just refresh that so it looks a little bit more digestible. Looking for a long position from these lows unless we get a tremendous break of structure from this area. If it dips back in, then I'll consider this area here after waiting for some confirmation. However, here is my desired trade position, since, as I mentioned, we're then able, with a very comfortable stop loss, to cover a couple of reasons in which we'll be looking to lose that position, giving no expectation that there could be a whim. And then we'll trade this up to those daily wick highs, or where was that previous, there we go, previous daily highs. Perfect, nice 4% return with a 10 pip stop loss, which is more than perfect on euro US dollar. As we got those two areas there, then in terms of the short position, of course, daily 50 MA 4-hour order block, wait for price to develop, then take the short. And if news tips the market upside down, then I'll be looking to take a long position from these previous weekly lows after confirmation. Thank you very much for listening. 15 minutes, I hope you're still there. You've not fallen asleep, but nevertheless, I appreciate your support in the channel and all the communities of FRGNT Daily Chart Analysis. All the very best in your trading journey. Take care. Good luck.